from 2015 to 2021, Subaru produced the fourth and final generation of the WRX STI. March of 2022, we got a TPS report cover sheet that essentially fired the STI on a Friday, as if taking a page directly from Office Space. It wasn't exactly the send-off that fans were hoping for if we ever were to get a send-off, because a lot of indications showed that a new WRX STI for the 5th generation was in the works. But before I get on what the STI could have been, I feel like we need to do a little bit of repair work on the reputation of this car. And that's because, for the most part, this generation is just typically frowned upon because of its vape bro dude, street life, dress up kind of look. It hasn't exactly been a sterling reputation for this generation of car. And I'm not really sure that's fair. I'd rather this car be remembered for its achievements and for all the great stuff that we got from the VA chassis, from the 4th generation WRX STI. So come along with me as we try and repair the reputation of this car, especially considering since this is the final WRX STI, even if we never get a final edition like Europe or Australia. Now, you can call me biased all the live long day because I'm in one. I own one. This is my 2016 WRX STI Series Hyper Blue, and I love this car. It's the channel's namesake for a reason. But this car, to me, and part of the reason why I enjoy this car so much is because it's a great combination of blast from the past mechanics. You've still got the Dinosaur EJ257 under the hood. Yes, there's endless jokes about ring gland failure on this engine, but there are so many things that we know about this engine that we've been able to crank out tons of performance over the years. There's loads of aftermarket support for these engines, but then you come down to the whole driveline of the car. The engine paired to this close ratio transmission, the Brembo brakes, the stiffer suspension, and you really took all of the stuff that made the STI great when it first came out, or at least when it first came to the States in 2004, nearly 20 years of that feel just put underneath a new generation chassis, nicer interior and Bluetooth, so it became an easier car to live with on a daily basis while still having the old time and rock and roll under the hood. And to me, that's always been a great combination. This car feels analog still. Even before I did all of my cool mods to it and everything, you got hydraulic power steering that's nice and heavy and gives great feedback. There are lots of guys with older Subarus that are taking the steering rack out of the 2015 plus STIs and putting it in the older cars. So anybody that's GD Master Racer, anybody that's all about the 22B and nothing else, those guys appreciate the mechanics and the improvements that this car made. Just in its initial rally season in the United States, not only did the WRX STI in this generation win the championship, it won every single round of the championship. There's a reason why this car was essentially my way to celebrate that perfect season that David Higgins and Craig Drew reeled in for Subaru Rally Team USA, now Subaru Motorsports USA. It was unheard of that a car, not only that, but a car that was brand new and unproven, could reach the top of the podium at every single event through a whole season. It hadn't been done since the 80s, and it hasn't been done since. So already, the WRX STI was earning its rally pedigree by proving how badass of a car this thing was on the stages. And it only continued that trend year after year after year. With the exception of the COVID year, the WRX STI brought home rally championships every single season. And whether it was Pastrana or Brandon Semenuk or my hero David Higgins, these rallies really just put more accomplishments under the belt of this car. But it's not just rally where the STI excelled. Look at the Nürburgring. The STI team in Japan, even when the new 2022 WRX was out, was still rallying this car, was still racing this car one more year. I'm just so used to talking about rally. this car not only tackled the Isle of Man TT in a mostly stock form at the hands of Mark Higgins, David's brother, but then they souped it up with ProDrive and shattered the record again with that car. Then they took that same car to a bunch of other stuff, and they accomplished all sorts of world records and all these crazy stunts and things that they did with the car. It's truly an incredible line of racing achievements that the WRX STI was able to reel in. The fourth generation WRX STI was also great for fans. Right out of the gates, in 2015, there was a launch edition STI that had blue with gold wheels. And they also had a darker blue interior to kind of tie in the rally blue exterior. I actually really wanted one of those cars and passed on it and regretted it because the one that we had got totaled shortly thereafter. But I picked up this special edition. This is a 2016 WRX STI Series Hyper Blue. And then they would come out with the Series Gray, Series White, the Type RA, which brought more power and carbon fiber and more just raw performance to the car. And then we really can't overlook the S209, the first and probably only S car to ever come from Japan to the United States. If you're not familiar with the S lines of cars from Subaru, the S201 and all thereafter, those are coveted cars in Japan. Those cars are a big deal there. For us to get one, to get 209 examples fittingly of the S209, these cars are incredible. And it's really cool that we got one of those before STI left forever. And we weren't expecting that back then. Now, there are other special editions that Subaru came out with this car. There were also special editions elsewhere. In the UK, when the STI got discontinued, they made a final edition of that car. In Australia, when the STI was on its way out, they made a final edition of that car. And so, admittedly, again, fans kind of salty that Subaru of America, at least, ended things the way they did with this car. But I didn't want that to overshadow the reputation that this car has, and when I realized the reputation that this car had, at least in enthusiast circles, I figured it was time to do a little bit of redemption. So hopefully you've enjoyed this quick look at the fourth generation and final generation of our beloved STI. Stay tuned, I've got a video that'll be coming out soon where we look at what the STI could have been based on stuff that we've seen from Subaru, both in the concept and other cars, and just hints of what could have been. So thanks for watching, see you later.